Hi guys, I'm back again today with another video, and today we're checking out Americans who moved abroad. What are the things you no longer fear? Oh, this is gonna be interesting. Well, let me see if we can. Okay, so before we do start, don't forget to subscribe, click the bell button, and let's begin.
If you're an American that has moved abroad, what are the things you've realized that you no longer fear? Because
I'm
living in Australia,
curious.
New Zealand, the UK, the Americans I've spoken to here, they all have the same stories about how they saw a fight break out across the room when they were out at a pub or something like that, and they realized they no longer fear that it could escalate into gunshots. When they all have stories about fireworks and realizing the day they realize that there are always fireworks now. They realized that they've been through an entire year and not had to worry about taxes because taxes are just calculated for
Mm,
you. And they
yep.
don't fear that they could get those wrong. They got ill and went to the hospital and they realized they don't fear what it could cost anymore. They had an interaction with the police and they weren't afraid. They requested time off from their boss, and their boss was just wondering why they made a big deal out of it. And they just said, book it in the system because they get 4, 5, 6 paid weeks off now, and it's no longer an issue. There's loads of things. So tell me your stories.
I'm
So
curious.
I'm an American currently living in Canada. And everything that this original poster already mentioned are things that I would have said. So I don't have anything to add in that regard, but what I sort of will contribute is that about 6 months into me living here, I've lived here for a year. It'll be a year next month. About 6 months into living here, I all of a sudden felt this extreme wave of emotion and physical release in what almost felt like, as somebody with an anxiety disorder,
Oh,
it almost felt like I was coming down from an anxiety attack out of absolutely nowhere. Like everything was going completely fine in my life, nothing had happened, and I couldn't figure out where this huge release was coming from. And I did a lot of reflecting on it, and I realized that it was my body finally beginning to release the trauma of having lived in
oh.
the United States for 23 years. Like, my body actually began to physically
Like she was
process
letting
just the
go.
daily lived trauma of being from the United States and having
Oh.
just lived in Canada for 6 months, not gone through anything extraordinary here, just taking myself out of the environment of being in the United States was this huge trauma release for my body. Like it was the first time that my body actually felt safe somewhere.
Mm,
Um, so that was really, really fun to go through and to realize that
it's okay.
that is um, that is what I put myself through for 22 years. I'm really curious if any other Americans living abroad have gone through that same thing.
That video is so good at pointing out all of the things that we live in fear of in the US. And the one in particular that gets me is the idea that I have to fear losing my
Oh,
job every time I have to call out of work. And like I have a part-time job that I can only work part-time because I am also a full-time mom. But I'm so scared of losing my job. And it's been so clear to me, like the fear is ever present this past week because I've had to call out of so many shifts. And I'm just like, I keep over explaining in every email whenever I have to call out because I'm like, I have RSV and I don't want to get anybody else sick. I don't want to get anybody else with young kids sick. But I'm so afraid of losing this job because like I really need it and I don't have paid sick time or anything. So, like
So I don't live abroad. I live in the States. But one of the neatest things happened to me when I was in Iceland a couple years ago. At the second Airbnb that I stayed at, I wanted to do just some day hiking because I was exhausted from a very long day that ended in climbing a volcano in the middle of the night before. So I asked the Airbnb host, I'm like, so where can I walk? And he goes, anywhere. And I said, yeah, but at what point will I be trespassing? When do I cross property lines? Or are there
oh,
landmarks
you're
that I need to keep in mind?
like,
And he smiled and he said, we don't have that here. You can walk anywhere.
oh
And
wow.
I was like, what, no Bubba with a shotgun gonna come out and tell me to get off his land? And he kind of laughed. They just don't
That's
do that there.
scary. That's like to think like every minute you have to be cautious. That is like walking on eggshells. The whole America is walking on eggshells. And just imagine living like that, right? That's crazy. And I want to hear the flip side too. Like, no, this is not okay. Anyways, um, how is the feeling? My question is, I want to know the feeling of like having freedom to then, yeah, the flip side, having freedom to then going to the land of freedom, but it is not necessarily free. How is it? How is the feeling, right? Is it like, oh, happy go lucky? And then when you step, you're like almost super cautious because you're like, I might step on a landmine or a. So let me be cautious. Is that the feeling? I want to see that also. Let's go back a bit.
Off his land, and he kind of laughed. They just don't do that there. Life was fearless.
American here. I've lived abroad for 14 years, 4 years in Switzerland, 9 years now in England. I feel like he made this video because of a comment that I made on one of his videos the other day. I was on a night out in Birmingham the other day and I heard fireworks going off in the street. It wasn't bonfire night, but I know you guys have leftover fireworks after bonfire night, and for like a couple weeks after, you just shoot them off for random times just for fun in the street. But the first thing that came to my mind was shooting. There's a shooting. And I had like massive panic come on. And my friend that I was out with saw it in my face and he goes, hey, it's cool. You're not in America anymore. Those are fireworks, not a shootout. So the fact that I don't have to worry about random massive shootings, yeah, that's a nice thing now.
The things that I no longer feared when I moved out the country. I no longer feared the police in any capacity. There was police in Jamaica that had assault rifles as their normal weapon, and I still felt comfort and ease around them. I no longer felt outnumbered in, well, any situation, because quite literally, everyone around me was black. I no longer felt the fear of exploring, like how you feel here, because when I go places, I love to explore and go through neighborhoods and see things and stuff like that. In America, you end up in the wrong neighborhood, that could be a death sentence. But when I was out of the country in Jamaica, I could explore any neighborhood, anywhere, and nobody be asking crazy questions like, who you, where you belong, this, that, and the third.
No.
I no longer feared the end of the month and my cost of living. Because in Jamaica, I ended up paying about $300 in bills a month versus here where I'm paying over $5,000 sometimes. I never feared the people.
$5,000. Wow.
That, you know, somebody could be having a bad day and then that be it for me, my life, and my daughter. Instead, the people were nice and friendly and this, that, and the third. I never feared expressing myself and who I was. I actually trained drastically more when I was there because I felt less judged and I felt more comfortable to be myself. You know what I mean? I never feared for my life. I never feared for my well-being. I never feared losing my life to gun violence. I never feared anything like that. And yes, I'm aware that countries have their own problems. And yes, Jamaica has a few. But none of them concern me too much because none of them happened to me. You don't understand how many things you really fear or how many things you actually have become accustomed to or fearing until you leave. Because I have never felt more at ease. I've never felt more peaceful. You know how many times I fell asleep with my door wide open and nothing happened except maybe a crab broke in?
Crab.
You know how many times I would just be out walking around, no weapon on me whatsoever, run into a group of people and be like, oh, hey, what's up? No need for social anxiety or nothing. It was freeing. It was peaceful, and it's home to me. Jamaica is always feeling like home to me.
I'm not afraid of the outside. And I know that that sounds stupid, but as an American that has just relocated to the UK, I'm sat outside in my garden. It's a little chilly, but it's not bad because I'm from the north and fucking.
It's crazy because last night like uh, I have to throw the trash, and it's kind of like a far, not a far walk, but it's quite a walk, right? Um, goes down, yeah. So it was not late because I finished around 10 p.m. last night, and I took out the trash at around 11 p.m. So the only thought, because it was raining, because it's rainy season here now, that's why I'm like cozy. Um, my only thought as I was going out at that night, that late, was like, oh my gosh, I can't really see. What if there's snakes? That's my only thought. I mean, I think they're that's crazy also. That's a crazy as well because it's dangerous. But I don't know. I don't know. Okay, I do not research this because I have a phobia of them. But I don't think we have poisonous ones, at least here. Maybe they're found in other places in this country, obviously, but the ones that are like, I don't talk about them as much because I don't like. That's my only fear. I wasn't like scared like, oh, somebody's gonna pop out in the dark or anything. No. And most of the crimes that take place is theft. It's not necessarily like you as a person in danger. So if it's like theft, like take everything. I could care less. I mean, as for your safety, yeah, just take its material stuff. Just go, right?
America. So, uh, but you know, it's a little chilly, but it's quiet. There's no yelling, screaming, bottles smashing. I'm not afraid my neighbors are going to try to unalive me. I'm not afraid that they're going to steal anything. Like, it's completely normal if you are not here to pick up a package that you ordered for the post to literally drop it off at a neighbor's house, and they will just keep it for you.
Same.
When people walk here, I'm significantly less afraid of being hit by a car or getting lost. Like, I mean, the only thing left to be afraid of here is ghosts because it's ancient as heck here, but like, I'm not even afraid of ghosts. So, this has all been very novel. It's nice and quiet.
I'm an American living abroad in Australia, Central Coast, New South Wales. I've been here for about 2 months. Everything this guy says is 100% accurate. I was on a train from Melbourne to Sydney yesterday. Two people got into a full-on fight. Cops were called. It happened right next to me, and not once did I think that it might escalate to gunshots. You know why? Because no one has a fucking gun here, bro. It's that simple.
Maybe
Like, you don't
Shanks.
feel as scared, bro.
Just
There's a lot less intensity in these social situations, especially with cops. Like, I'm not scared of cops, bro. I'm not even in the US because I personally have nothing to hide. But you're not worried about that type of stuff here because I know for a fact that Aussie police are not going to think that I may have a gun. It's like 99.9% of people here do not have guns, and you just feel a lot safer with everything you go. Even in the worst parts of this country, you're gonna feel a lot safer because you know that no one's gonna rob you at fucking gunpoint, and it's just how it is.
wow. That's interesting to hear their point of view being outside. Some of them were in US still. I think two of them. But most of them were outside, and just their different experiences is interesting to see. But now I would like to see a video of people who moved to the US. How is that for them? But anyways, beautiful peeps, if you have an experience, let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys for joining. I will see you in the next video. Bye.